Stalybridge and Hyde UK Parliament constituency. Stalybridge and Hyde is a constituency represented in the House of Commons of the UK Parliament since 2010 by Jonathan Reynolds, a member of Labour Co-op. Constituency profile. The constituency lies on the lower slopes of the Pennines and beginning of the plain below, on the cusp of Greater Manchester, and has three broad settlements, the largest of which are Hyde, which is bordered by the River Tame and Peak Forest Canal, and Stalybridge, which similarly has several parks and recreation grounds and leads up the Tame Valley to Mossley. The geographic features include the footpaths from both towns on neighbouring promontories, Harwich and Wild Bank. Stamford Golf Club and Worneth Low Country Park are in the seat. The area has been susceptible to a major downturn in all but the most affluent and productive areas, and workless claimants, registered job seekers, were in November 2012 higher than the national average of 3.8% and regional average of 4.4%, at 5.0% of the population based on a statistical compilation by the Guardian. Creation. The seat was created under the Representation of the People Act 1918 as a county division of Cheshire. It was formed by combining the bulk of the abolished parliamentary borough of Stalybridge and the majority of the abolished county seat of Hyde. Boundaries. 1918–1950, the boroughs of Dukinfield, Hyde, and Stalybridge, the urban districts of Hollingworth and Mottram in Longdendale, and the rural district of Tintwistle. 1950–1983, the boroughs of Dukinfield, Hyde, and Stalybridge, the urban district of Longdendale, and the rural district of Tintwistle. Only minor boundary changes. The urban district of Longdendale had been formed in 1936 by combining Hollingworth and Mottram in Longdendale. On 1 April 1974, under the Local Government Act 1972, the bulk of the area covered by the constituency was incorporated into the newly created borough of Tameside within Greater Manchester. The sparsely populated rural district of Tintwistle was transferred to Derbyshire. However, its boundaries remained unchanged until the third periodic review of Westminster constituencies came into effect for the 1983 general election. 1983–1997, the borough of Tameside wards of Dukinfield, Stalybridge, Hyde Godley, Hyde Newton, Hyde Worneth, Longdendale, Stalybridge North, and Stalybridge South. Apart from the area now in Derbyshire, which was transferred to the constituency of High Peak, the boundaries remained broadly unchanged. 1997 present, the borough of Tameside wards of Dukinfield/Stalybridge, Hyde Godley, Hyde Newton, Hyde Worneth, Longdendale, Mossley, Stalybridge North, and Stalybridge South. Dukinfield ward transferred to Denton and Reddish, gained Mossley ward from Ashton-under-Lyne. Political history. Members of Parliament. Elections. Elections in the 2010s. Elections in the 2000s. Elections in the 1990s. Elections in the 1980s. Elections in the 1970s. Elections in the 1960s. Elections in the 1950s. Elections in the 1940s. General election 1939–40. Another general election was required to take place before the end of 1940. The political parties had been making preparations for an election to take place from 1939, and by the end of this year, the following candidates had been selected. Conservative, Horace Trevor Cox. Labour, Gordon Lang. Elections in the 1930s. Elections in the 1920s. Elections in the 1910s.